Boomer shooters are simply awesome. I've been playing a bunch of these in the last couple of weeks. These retro-inspired shooters really take me back. Back to the days of 90s FPS classics like Doom and Quake. I remember looking up in awe at the original Quake in all of its pixelated 3D glory. And can you believe that we played this on our elementary school computers? Yeah, why our teachers let us play Quake at that age remains a mystery. Anyway, even if you didn't experience the golden era of shooters, these gems have a lot to offer for any shooter fan. But what exactly defines a boomer shooter? Well, these games obviously draw lots of inspiration from their 90s counterparts. Not only their visuals, but also their mechanics and gameplay. So think pixelated textures, low-poly graphics, and 2D sprites and pixel art. So the graphics will remind you of games like Doom, Quake, Heretic, Duke Nukem, Shadow Warrior, just to name a few. There has really been a resurgence of these graphic styles in recent FPS releases, and it kind of feels like a breath of fresh air. I honestly never would have thought that these kinds of graphics would make a comeback in modern shooters. It's like a blast from the past with a fresh coat of paint. Now, a significant aspect of boomer shooters is, of course, their fast-paced action. You will be zipping through levels at breakneck speeds, jumping, dashing, and gibbing through enemies, hordes of enemies. There's always a variety of unique weapons. The enemies are just as varied as the weaponry, and you'll find yourself prioritizing targets and facing off against bosses and mini-bosses. The levels are intricate, filled with secrets, and at times are maze-like. There's also lots of searching for keycards to progress, just like in the 90s. So these games won't hold your hand. There are no waypoints and no objective markers. You're on your own, navigating through the twists and turns. And I've got to say, I've run in circles more times than I'd like to admit. But that's part of the charm. The challenge and the maze-like levels make these games unique. Now, you might be wondering, why are these games called boomer shooters? Well, it doesn't actually have anything to do with baby boomers. In slang, boomer is jokingly used to refer to something old or antiquated. Now, the exact origin of the term isn't crystal clear, but it supposedly gained popularity when fans of Dusk started calling that game a boomer shooter. Speaking of Dusk, it's one of my absolute favorites in the boomer shooter realm. Dusk takes me on a trip right back to the days of Quake. The presentation of Dusk really speaks to me. It's dark, it's gory, and it immerses you in a world where you're battling these twisted enemies. So think cult members that cast fireballs and whisper satanic verses. You really get a sense of Lovecraftian dread, fighting dark forces with unimaginable power. The soundtrack is also excellent. At times it's eerie and unsettling, and at other times it really gets your blood pumping. Released in 2018, Dusk is often credited as the game that inspired the rise of the boomer shooter genre in the indie scene. If you're even remotely interested in this genre, Dusk is a must-play. There's also an excellent HD version that recently hit the scene if you're not really into the pixelated graphics. That version retains the essence of the original, and it's presented with graphics you might have seen in the early 2000s.
Well, this is headed in a familiar direction.
Another one of my favorites is Ion Fury. When I saw footage of this game a couple of years ago, I was immediately struck by its awesome presentation. And I realized that this retro FPS resurgence was really becoming a genre of its own. The 2D enemy and weapon sprites, the music, design, all of it just oozes 90s FPS in Ion Fury. The game also looked eerily similar to games like Duke Nukem and Blood, and I soon figured out why. The game is actually made in the same engine that those classics were made in, the Build engine. Using a 90s FPS engine in a 2019 release, now that's glorious. I really enjoyed this game and I am very excited for the sequel Phantom Fury.
So much for your pension.
Then there is Turbo Overkill. Released in 2023, this game has the highest review scores among all the boomer shooters I have or will mention in this video. And it's absolutely clear to me why. The movement in this game is sublime. It's super smooth and you can double dash, double jump, and combine all of that with a chainsaw slide. Yes, your character has a chainsaw attached to his leg. Take a look. Yeah, that is extremely satisfying and never gets old. The game also has a very cool and grimy cyberpunk setting. You are this badass bounty hunter chasing down a rogue AI. Now that kind of sci-fi also really speaks to me.
I have sinned, and I see all.
In its presentation, the game is more of a throwback to shooters from the late 90s or early 2000s. However, this game is built in the modern Unity engine. It has some very striking scenes and lighting. It's actually quite a looker, and I honestly did not expect that. Another thing that stood out to me is that this game shows you a waypoint at certain times. Now, as far as I know, there aren't many games in this genre that help you like that. It makes this one a bit more accessible and less frustrating. All in all, Turbo Overkill is also easily a must-play. Go check it out, there's a free demo on Steam. Other good examples of boomer shooters are Cultic, Amid Evil, Proteus, and Warhammer 40k Boltgun. I might make a second video where I discuss those a bit more, but definitely put those on your radar if you are interested in the genre. There also might be some others that I have missed, or maybe some that you have been playing that you like. Let me know in the comments. Do you like boomer shooters? Are you new to the genre? Would you like me to review some of these? Share your thoughts with me, I would love to hear from you. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed my content, you know what to do.